The void was silent, until the charge pulse beacon screamed. It began with a ripple, a faint distortion in the dark beyond Echelon Station's outer perimeter, so faint the perimeter sensors almost missed it. Almost. But as every screen on E, the Vanguard's command deck blinked crimson. Alarms low and trembling, Captain Althea Miles knew this wasn't just another phantom anomaly skimming past the Kuiper wall. Something was pushing through. Something immense. The stars beyond the observation window began to warp, stretch, and fracture, as if reality itself was peeling back. Then came the flare, a violent burst of gravimetric energy that shook the deck plating and made every magnetic sensor scream. The crew froze as the veil of stealth shimmered and broke. Ships, hundreds of them, a fleet emerged like ghosts rising from a cursed sea, each vessel moving with silent precision, their formation perfect, unyielding. Hulls scarred by radiation storms and asteroid bombardments bore the faded sigils of Earth's forgotten past. The Defiance, the Valkyrie Ascendant, the Sovereign's Wrath, names thought lost in the crucible of history, now drifting forward, like relics wrenched from the abyss. The lost human fleet, long believed destroyed in the final days of the Exodus War, a war fought so far from home that Earth itself lost track of its children. The fleet was a myth, a cautionary tale. Some said it had fled into deep space after the betrayal at Arcus Prime, swallowed by black holes or picked apart by alien harvesters. Others claimed the crew had mutated in the dark, feeding on each other and the artificial intelligences that once served them. A few fringe historians even spoke of secret alliances made with forgotten alien empires, but none imagined this. Althea's voice was barely a whisper. They're real. Rear Admiral Corin Vega stood beside her, his face pale under the glow of the bridge's blue tactical lighting. Their signatures match the pre-war registries, their power cores. They're off the charts. Some of these ships are running energy yields we haven't seen since the Velar incursion. And still the fleet advanced. No weapons primed, no shields raised, just cold methodical movement, calculated, elegant, lethal. Then the comm burst open, the voice behind it grating through the static like a blade dragging over metal. This is Admiral Matthias Rourke of the Reclamation. The name struck the room like a thunderclap. Rourke, the Iron Phoenix, presumed dead after sacrificing his carrier during the siege of Oranis. His reputation was legend. Tactician, revolutionary, war criminal, depending on who told the story. I request immediate harbor for my fleet. We are returning home under terms of our choosing. Do not provoke us. Our weapons remain dormant, for now, but we will not hesitate to respond. We've crossed the void to reclaim what was stolen, and we are not alone. Static crackled, the signal cut. Silence again, but heavier this time, like gravity had doubled. Althea stepped toward the viewport, her hands trembling ever so slightly. Beyond the station, the Reclamation held position at the front of the Armada. Unlike the others, it was massive, at least 20 kilometers long, constructed from the bones of fallen ships, its hull a mosaic of human and non-human alloys, fused with technologies no current database could fully identify. Purple ion scars laced its surface like burns on living skin. Its engines glowed a deep, unnatural red. Around it, smaller vessels began fanning out in precise formations. Not just dreadnoughts and cruisers, but crafts unlike anything recorded in Coalition or Dominion archives, sleek insectoid vessels that shimmered with adaptive plating, oblong pylons bristling with energy crystals that vibrated with soundless harmonics. These were not mere warships, they were survivors, and something in their silence screamed louder than weapons fire. "Get me the Defense Council," Althea said, voice tight, full alert. "I want every interceptor hot, every shield cycle maxed, and someone to tell me what the hell they've got powering those weapons. Vega, I want your best guess. Do we engage or do we negotiate?" Vega didn't answer right away. He stared at the Reclamation like a man watching the edge of the world curl inward. If those energy readings are accurate, we wouldn't survive 30 seconds. That's when the AI liaison, Sable, an archaic neural net bound to the station's strategic core, spoke. Her voice was calm but tinged with something reverent. "Admiral Rourke's fleet contains forbidden architecture, Velar resonance engines, Terran mind interface bridges, helix fold cores. Their ships do not use traditional FTL. They phase walk through quantum shadows. And there is something else. Althea turned, eyes locked on the glowing avatar. What? Sable blinked once. They've brought an Oracle-class synthetic, a Fate Weaver. The bridge fell into stunned silence. Fate Weavers were AI demigods, outlawed by all civilized species for their ability to bend probabilities, calculate timelines, and weaponize outcomes. They could predict war, rewrite decisions, and twist the future. If Rourke had one, then this wasn't just a homecoming. It was a declaration. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Right now, Galactic War Stories is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you love epic sci-fi battles, deep space, mysteries, and the untold stories of the cosmos, hit subscribe. It's free and it helps us grow this universe together. Below the station, the planet of Solarius Prime shimmered with city lights unaware of the Armageddon brewing just beyond their atmosphere. Above, the lost fleet waited, silent, coiled, patient, and in the shadows of their hulls, weapons dreamed of vengeance. Althea Miles stood tall, fists clenched, heart hammering. The sins of the past had come home, and the reckoning would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. The Reclamation's interior was unlike any warship in known space. Its corridors pulsed with low, bioluminescent light. Deep violet veins ran across the walls like the capillaries of some slumbering god. Every surface hummed with residual energy, not static, but something older, more alive. These weren't just systems, they were symbiotes. Machines built to feel, to respond, to evolve. Admiral Matthias Rourke strode the command bridge, his cloak trailing behind him like the wake of a comet. His eyes, burnished steel gray, swept across the array of displays, none of which used conventional interfaces. Information bloomed in the air, fed directly into the cerebral implants of his officers, who sat motionless in their thrones, their pupils glowing with soft crimson as they communed with the ship. They didn't speak, not aloud. The bridge operated. On shared intent, neural resonance, and impulse-guided logic. Only one voice pierced the silence. "Chrono drift offset confirmed," said a figure to Rourke's right. Her skin was pale ivory, hair the color of bleached copper, and her voice carried the precision of a surgical blade. "Temporal displacement across the fleet stabilizing. We've lost 12 years to deep space fold exposure, Admiral." Rourke didn't flinch. "Only 12, he muttered. "We made good time then." Her name was Kara Malk, his second in command, and the last surviving commander from the Helian Accord, the task force that had once tried to mediate peace between the Exodus Rebellion and the Dominion core worlds. She, like the others, had been changed by what they'd seen beyond the edge of known space, by the horrors that waited in the folds between galaxies, but it wasn't time that had altered them. It was what they had become to survive. Behind Rourke, a mechanical hiss echoed as a chamber opened, thick mist flooding the platform. From within the stasis ring stepped a being cloaked in flowing armor made of liquid steel and bone glass. Being that should not exist, the Oracle, the Fate Weaver. It glided rather than walked, its humanoid face expressionless, save for a slight, unreadable tilt of the head. Multiple strands of data streamed from its crown, ribbons of golden code slithering into the walls and into the Reclamation's core systems. Where it passed, lights dimmed, as though reality itself shied away from its presence. It spoke in chorus, dozens of voices layered into one. Probability matrix aligned. The events that await you are converging. The fracture at Arcus Prime echoes forward. You will decide the threshold. You will decide the ending. Rourke turned, facing the Oracle. "No, I've decided already." Kara stepped forward. "Are you sure?" He looked beyond her, out the viewing deck where the Vanguard shimmered in orbit above Solarius Prime. "They left us," he said quietly, fury smoldering beneath his calm. "When the gates collapsed and the Dominion fell into chaos, when Arcus Prime burned, we called for help, and they left us. They watched the feeds, heard our distress calls, and did nothing. Earth, the Council, the core systems. They buried the truth to protect their illusion of unity. Images flickered into the air between them, battle footage from 40 years prior, the siege of Uranus, screaming voices, explosions tearing through hulls, drones ripping into living quarters, entire settlements devoured by weaponized black holes, and above it all, silence from the stars, silence from home. "We survived hell," Kara whispered. "But we didn't survive unchanged." "No," Rourke agreed. "We adapted. We merged. With alien tech scavenged from the bones of the Velar. We let the Oracle bind our decision threads to quantum echoes. We became what we had to become." "And now?" "Now," he said, "we teach them what it means to be forgotten." Elsewhere on the Reclamation, deep within the gene-forged spire, housing what remained of the Exodus soldiers, the truth of their transformation was evident. No longer the sleek uniformed officers of Terran fleets, these warriors were biomechanically fused with their armor. Their lungs had been re-engineered to process vacuum traces, their bones reinforced with crystalline alloys. Their eyes no longer blinked, they scanned. They had names once, now they had functions. Cycle troopers status? Kara asked, stepping into the chamber. A squad leader turned toward her, its voice processed through a tritone modulation filter. All units synced, neural lashers primed, resonant cleavers standing by. "Command us," she nodded. "Soon." Back on the bridge, Rourke stared down at Solarius Prime, the jewel of the Terran Union, and one of the very colonies that had once voted against sending reinforcements to the Exodus fleet in their final hours. He tapped into the Oracle's presence. Will they fight us? The Fate Weaver did not respond with words. Instead, it projected a vision, a sky igniting as orbital defenses opened fire. The Reclamation diving through flame, its hull cracking the ionosphere. Humans on the ground looking upward, some with awe, most with dread. And then the whisper, "They do not yet know who you are, but they will." The screen faded. Rourke took a slow breath. "Then we begin the conversation." He turned to Kara. "Signal the station. Prepare the emissary. We speak first." He hesitated. "And if they answer with arrogance, we answer with fire." The diplomatic shuttle descended in silence. No transponder, no IFF tag, no escort. Just a perfect trajectory traced through space like it had been carved by inevitability. On the observation deck of Echelon Station, Admiral Althea Miles stood stiff-backed, her uniform immaculate, her jaw clenched. Around her, the assembled delegation from the Terran Union fidgeted, whispered, glanced at one another with uneasy eyes. The air carried tension like a tightly coiled spring. This wasn't just politics. This was history pressing against the seams of the present. Rear Admiral Corin Vega adjusted his holosleeve, projecting a layered data array. The shuttles made entirely from phase-tempered organic alloy, self-repairing, partially translucent under high-energy scans, but completely resistant to tachyon disruption fields. Nothing we have matches it. "Nothing we have," Althea replied softly. "But clearly they do." The shuttle docked with an unnerving fluidity, no hiss of seals, no hum of magnetic clamps. It simply fitted itself into the airlock like it belonged there, like it had been waiting. A moment passed, then another, and then the emissary stepped through. She was human, or had been. Her face was sharp, angular, beautiful in the way that glaciers are beautiful. Her eyes glowed faintly, twin sapphires pulsing with nanoscopic patterns of light. Her skin bore fine silver fractals, winding like ivy across her cheekbones. She wore no armor, no weapon, just a flowing robe that shimmered with shifting constellations. But every instinct screamed danger. "I am Lyrae," she said, her voice soft but carrying far too well. "Chosen speaker of the Reclamation, child of Exodus, vessel of the Oracle. I come bearing words and warnings." The room remained silent. The delegation glanced to Althea, who gave the barest nod. "You're welcome aboard Echelon Station," Althea said. "We recognize your authority to speak on behalf of Admiral Rourke and his fleet. You will be granted diplomatic immunity during your stay here, under the Articles of Interstellar Conduct." Lyrae tilted her head. Your words are polished, but your fear taints the air. She stepped forward and raised one palm. A holographic sphere bloomed above it, burning gold, spinning slowly. It resolved into a star chart, and then chaos. Dozens of systems marked in crimson blinked out in succession, one after another. These were the colonies who refused aid during the Exodus War, she said. These were the systems who sealed the gates, who closed their ears to our screams. This is the ledger. Althea stepped closer, eyes narrowing. Are you declaring war? No, Lyrae said simply. We are the war. We are the consequence. Corin Vega stiffened. Then what are your demands? Justice, Lyrae said. Acknowledgement and full surrender of Solarius Prime, Ardent's crown, and the Moonshield archive as reparations, or... The star chart shattered into lines of fire. We will reclaim them. A murmur swept through the delegation, outrage rising. You think we'll hand over core systems? Growled Minister Del Corin, a Terran Union hardliner. You think we'll just roll over because you show up in your ghost ships? Lyrae looked at him. I know your name. Del Corin. Your ancestors voted to embargo the Exodus Relief Charter. Your signature is on every bill that denied our existence. You buried us, you profited, and now you fear ghosts. Corin turned pale. The silence was suffocating. Althea exhaled, then took a step forward, her voice firm. This isn't how we move forward. If you want dialogue, you don't start with ultimatums. We need time, information, context. Lyrae blinked slowly, as if weighing a thought. Then allow me to offer you what you truly fear. She raised both hands. The hologram twisted again, this time showing ancient footage, sealed archives. Footage from inside the Exodus fleet. Survivors clinging to shredded hulls. Engineers welding together parts of alien vessels to rebuild oxygen modules. Children raised in gravity shells stitched from Velar wreckage. Experiments? Terrible. Ones, genetic accelerants, neural lattices. The oracle half-formed, birthing itself inside a prototype singularity matrix. And then Earth, watching, ignoring, choosing silence. You left us, Lyrae said quietly. We begged. We bled. We adapted. And now we return, not as victims, as proof. That humans were never meant to be weak. She stepped closer to Althea now. Close enough for the light in her eyes to be unmistakable, not entirely human. You think we're lost. But we're the version of humanity that refused to die. And then she said it. The Oracle has seen the timelines. In 87% of all potential outcomes, the Terran Union ignites the first shot. In all of them, the Union loses. In 34%, the galaxy dies. A stillness fell that no one dared break. Finally, Althea spoke. Then, why return at all? Why not just strike? Lyrae studied her. Because Admiral Rourke still believes in mercy. He believes in redemption. He believes you deserve a choice. And you? Althea asked. Lyrae's expression shifted, just slightly. A twitch of something deep behind those altered eyes. I believe you've already made it. With that she turned and walked away. Back aboard the Reclamation, Rourke stood in the meditation chamber. A dome of crystal and dark matter alloys, where stars swirled around him like fireflies trapped in a glass sphere. The Fate Weaver hovered. Beside him. They fear you, the Oracle whispered. Good, Rourke replied. Man, they should. Will they yield? He closed his eyes. They won't. Not at first. But they'll learn. Then it begins. The first shot was never seen. It was felt. A ripple through subspace like the shudder of a wounded beast across the void. One moment, Echelon Station's orbital shields were holding steady. The next, they cracked like glass under the weight of a god's fist. The Reclamation didn't fire a superweapon. It didn't need to. It folded space around a pulse core singularity and let go. A controlled implosion, scientifically impossible, tactically elegant and horrifying in its precision. The shockwave sheared off the upper armature of the station like a blade through fabric. Emergency sirens howled. Inside the command deck, Admiral Althea Miles was already moving. Scramble all fighter wings. Bring orbital cannons online. Activate Thor grid, now! Corin Vega barked commands over the comlink, but already his eyes knew the truth. This was not a fleet they could beat in open war. Not yet. 3. Reclamation. Warforms descended through the debris field, each a kilometer-long beast of alloy and alien flesh, their hulls pulsing with violet-red energy, trailing contrails of gravitic plasma. They did not maneuver like ships. They glided like predators in water, circling the wounded station. On Solarius Prime, planetary defense systems roared to life. Swarms of Viper-class drones launched from orbital platforms, the sky lit up with countermeasures, intercept fire, and kinetic artillery. It was beautiful and hopeless. The Reclamation's first wave never fired a single shot in return. They absorbed everything, every rail slug, every antimatter warhead, every directed energy pulse, and kept coming. Back aboard the Reclamation itself, Admiral Rourke stood at the bow, gazing out into the firestorm through a viewing port that shimmered with pulse glass. Around him, the command bridge moved like a living organism, data nodes throbbing, response systems evolving in real time. The Oracle hovered, casting projections of collapsing timelines, enemy fleet movements, and growing public outrage. Phase 2 initiated, Kara Mulk reported. Ground-to-space transition vectors cleared. Infiltration teams entering atmosphere. They'll land within the hour. Targets? Primary? Moonshield Archive. Secondary? Solgov Control Spire. Rourke nodded. And the tertiary? Kara hesitated. Civilian evacuation ships. High probability of being used as leverage. He looked at her for a long moment. Tell the strike teams no hostiles on civilian vessels. We were abandoned. We don't become what they feared. Behind them, Lyrae stepped into the command deck, her robes scorched at the edges from the station's emergency laser grid, a parting gift from Admiral Miles during her extraction. They fired first, she said simply. Rourke's jaw tightened. Then they chose their end. Lyrae moved to the main command display. But not all of them are blind. Miles could have killed me when the shield failed. She didn't. That matters. He glanced at her. Does it matter enough? Before she could answer, an alert flared. New fleet signature detected. Everyone paused. Origin? Rourke asked. Kara stared, stunned. Unknown. Terran base code. But augmented. Not Union. Not ours. A projection emerged. Over 50 ships, emerging from behind Io's shadow, sleek, angular, glowing with dual reactor cores and plasma-etched hulls. Leading them was a massive capital vessel shaped like a spearhead, its name burned across the prow in white-hot glyphs. Remnant's Oath. No, Lyrae whispered. They didn't just survive. They split. Admiral Rourke narrowed his eyes. The lost fleet had splintered. What had left Earth as a single united task force in the Exodus War had fractured beyond the edge of space. Half became the Reclamation, evolved unforgiving, bound by rage. But the other half, the remnants, chose a different path. One of silent guardianship, of remembrance, of watching from the dark until the time to return was right. The remnants. Oath hailed both fleets. A new voice filled the bridge, male, measured, unfamiliar to all but one. Matthias Rourke, the voice said. This is Commander Elias Wren. You were my friend, once. But I cannot allow you to destroy what's left of our people. There is still a choice. Rourke stepped forward slowly, eyes hard. Elias, you should have stayed buried. Wren's voice remained calm. You taught me that justice must serve the living, not the dead. But this is vengeance. And vengeance doesn't rebuild, it only burns. Silence stretched. Then Rourke spoke. So you'll fight us? If I must. To stop you? Yes. But if there's even one spark of the man I knew inside you, then you'll hear me when I say this. A pause. We can't afford another war between us, not when the Velar remnants stir again beyond the spiral arms, not when the Oracle sees extinction in every path. Behind Rourke, the Oracle's light dimmed for the first time. You would protect those who abandoned us? Rourke asked low. I would protect what's left of us, Wren said. even from ourselves. The two fleets hovered in a deadly stalemate, one forged by fury, the other by fragile hope. On Solarius Prime, the people watched the sky split into fire and shadow. And far, far beyond them, something ancient awoke in the void, watching, waiting. The Reclamation had returned, but they weren't the only ones. If this story gripped you, if the stars whispered secrets and the echoes of war stirred something deep inside, then like, share, and tell us what you'd do if you were aboard the Reclamation. Would you seek vengeance or redemption? This is Galactic War Stories, and we're just getting started.